Difficult to believe, but this is the last session for faith groups for Lent this year. We've gone through the Sundays of Lent, and we reached the end of the Sundays of Lent before we celebrate Passion Sunday or Palm Sunday next week. And with this amazing gospel, it's amazing because it's about God's mercy with lot of nuance there, and it was difficult to preach this weekend. It's one of these gospels where there is a lot to explain. And for me, it was important to see first the location and to explain that Jesus, the composition of the scene, you see the woman in the middle, you see the people are watching, they're in the temple. Jesus has seen the temple from the beginning of the day. He had to be thinking about this institution that was supposed to be the representation that the house of his father, and the institution that, as he has to suspect by now, is going to be the institution that will bring about his death, his condemnation. If we had to simplify the message of this Sunday, it's very difficult to love people when we condemn them, and who are we to judge and condemn people, which seem to be what these Pharisees and scribes that approach Jesus are doing, about to stone the woman. I'm not sure if they could stone her. The law said, yes, the Jewish Mosaic law said that the woman had to be stoned. It's not the point of the gospel to know where is the man. Who knows, maybe he wasn't a Jew. Where is the adulterous man? I thought about it, but it's certainly not the core of the gospel. But then to realize that Jewish people couldn't execute the same way that they will not be able to execute Jesus. They will have to get something to charge him with that would break Roman law. So the gospel says it very clearly. They are testing Jesus. Like many times they approach Jesus with questions to test him. They want to get people against him. But what a beautiful gospel. For me, very important, very significant. That Jesus doesn't use a religious argument to defuse the situation. He uses a human argument, a secular argument, if you want to call it this way. He makes people realize about their own past, their own sinfulness, and how can we condemn others if we don't have any more reason, and we don't find any other reason to love people first instead of condemning them and stone them literally or poetically. He uses the argument of our own sinfulness. If you are free from sin, then throw the first stone. Nobody is free from sin. We are not, right? So that's what the gospel describes. For me, it's very significant that Jesus found a human argument instead of a religious one. He had preached about God's mercy before, many times, and they had not listened to that. They had not understood that. And when you think that it's an obvious preaching, no, that you cannot, you have to love people first before, if you ever need to condemn. I would just love people if we could. But today we were approached after Mass about a prayer we had for divorced people, and somebody telling us, well, maybe we shouldn't, yes, it's okay to pray for them, but maybe they shouldn't have gotten married in the first place. So this is the reality we live, that many people, men, especially men and women of religion of all times, we've been very good at condemning. I was also thinking about the history of the Second Vatican Council, 1962-1965, was the first time in history that a council didn't condemn anybody. And isn't that interesting? Reading this gospel and then thinking about the church as the sacrament of Jesus on earth, how we have been for centuries condemning either one person or one movement or a heresy. The Vatican II was the first time in history that didn't happen, that we didn't issue any official condemnation for anybody. I found it useful, as you saw in the homily, this kneeling down of Jesus, pausing a little bit, this buffer that I want you to think about it. How many times things would be better if we would be very mindful of this time we need sometimes, instead of the absolute immediate reaction that at least gets me in trouble a lot. And I don't know about you. The last part of the gospel, I think it connects with the first reading. When Jesus Jesus doesn't deny sin, but he liberates this woman by telling her, sin no more. Jesus is not telling the woman, you were not a sinful person, you did not commit a sinful act. He was not condoning the adultery, but he liberates her. The same way that you see God having experienced, the first reading shows a God that has been mindful of this in the past, that has opened, Jesus is opening a new way, a new life for this woman to continue her life with freed from whatever it was that brought her to that situation. If we deny the reality of sin, if we say everybody's good and everything, the mercy of God certainly is larger than any of our petty sinfulness. But at the same time, we cannot deny sin, and we need to be liberated, freed from this idea of sin. That's the God of Holy Week that takes us through this journey of Lent, that liberates us, that frees us from our own slavery to stuff that keeps us from living life of full dedication to love and to God and to others. It's a great gospel any way we look at it. Once again, we are discussing God's mercy, but also I wanted to ask you, as we are reflecting today, when have we been like Jesus, who was able to protect someone, to diffuse this extremely violent situation? That's something that we should ask today. As we come to the end of Lent, there will be a question about it. Has it been a missed opportunity? Have we experienced some transformation? Have we become more the person, and we still have 1 week to do this, but to continue transforming, to continue traveling through this journey that will take us to understand why Jesus lived and suffered and died and then was risen from the dead for us. I hope this has been a useful program to you, whether you did it by yourself, with your family, or with a group. We have learned a lot about Jesus' image of God this Lent, I believe. And let's preach, especially with our actions, with our behaviors, this merciful God in whom we believe. See you soon. Bye.